An official warm welcome. My name, as you know, if you don't know, is Gabriel Klaasen. I'm at African Climate Alliance, and it is an absolute pleasure to be one of the facilitators today. And I will pass to someone you haven't met yet, but I'm passing to Mitchelle Mhaka, also part of African Climate Alliance. Mitchelle, would you like to just check in on how you're doing? Let people know who you are a little bit, so that they aren't like, who's this weird person and where's Sarah?
Of course. Thanks, Gabriel. So I'm Mitchelle and very excited to be here. Like you don't understand. I can't even contain it. I'm also one of the ACA team, and I am the programs manager there. For some, I did see some familiar faces, and we often see each other in the educational Back to Basics workshop. So that's pretty exciting. And it's such a pleasure to be here and just helping facilitate this session today. Thanks, Gabriel.
Awesome. Just as you know, a little bit of logistics. So as you know, is just going through how the session registration works, in case you haven't figured it out yet, which is perfectly fine. But the way that it works is if you've registered for one of these sessions, don't worry, you don't ever have to register again for this year, because we'll just make sure that we keep sending it back to you to tell you that, hey, there's a new session coming up. But if you wish to be removed from that list, you can also let us know. But it's really great that you don't have to kind of always register. So when you see it on social media, when you see Stella posting, hi guys, the new Africa's Youth Voices is coming up. Don't worry, you don't have to run quickly, register, because you will be added automatically to receive the link and the minutes and everything like that. Cool. And so just swiftly moving on, I think it's been really great to watch a little bit of development of how we've kind of begun to develop our own understandings of what we want to say to our leaders, and also just be able to put our authentic voices out there. And so a little bit about today will be more of an action kind of day, if that makes sense. But before that, I think, Mitchelle, if you can kind of just let us know, a little bit about what the last takeaway session was about, and we can go from there. I'll share my screen so you can see the presentation as well. But yeah.
So we were meant to discuss with some of our communities some ideas around campaigns that we could run as a community or a collective. And these would either be on the ground or online campaigns that would feed back into what we're trying to create here today. So an example would be, I'm from Cape Town, South Africa. I would have, maybe because I'm not outside a lot, I would have used my social media to reach out to friends, tweet things, put things on Instagram, maybe even use my WhatsApp to start conversation around this idea of a campaign that we're trying to push. So yeah, that was the takeaway task from the previous session. The hope is that we manage to start conversation around it with our communities, be it on the ground, in our physical communities, or the online communities that we often interact with.
What we hope to do today is just hear some reflections from anyone keen to mention any campaigns that you've been trying to push collectively. I also have noted a few of you reached out via email, and I've been heavily busy, but I intend to reach out back to you sometime this weekend, hopefully, so that we can start working together on certain campaigns and discuss a bit more in depth. And so it's really been great to kind of see the eagerness and just the one for solidarity and togetherness. And so, yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to open the floor for anyone who has any feedback.
Or maybe are there any challenges that you might have faced that we might have some solutions to? Because silence means two things: either we agree with what's happening, or we have no idea what is required of us. So I mean, the chat is there, we can unmute. If there are any sort of requests for clarity around that.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yep, loud and clear.
Cool. So yes, I was silent because I didn't really know how to verbalize my feedback because it's all kind of up in the air. But I communicated with a local community, community here in the Eastern Cape in Joe Slovo, where they've got a lot of youth who are like I've worked with in the past, and they kind of communicated to me that they didn't really have access or they didn't really know what came from past COP events. And they thought of maybe if there was a collection of info from past COP events and the actions that followed, like if the commitments that were spoken about were actually followed through. And then they were really keen on like art pieces and poems and music and kind of an exhibit of artworks that could be directed at the COP event or something like that. But yeah, that's it for me.
Cool. Thank you for that. I think that also just speaks to how inaccessible some information is. But I've noted that down, and I think we are going to get into like a sort of give and take feedback sort of session, and then we can see how we can assist with that.
Yes, good evening, guys. Yeah, I got something on ground. The first campaign that I got from my community and it would be feasible is to, the first one is to sensitize the community. Hello.
Well, we will tell you. We'll tell you if we can't hear you. But
That's
until
fine.
we tell you we can't hear you, you can keep talking because we can hear you.
Yeah. I was saying the first campaign that I got as a feedback from my community is a sensitization. When I talk of sensitization, we need to look at the schools, the churches, and any other gathering. We need to educate people about the environment. I understand most people still don't understand aspect related to environment, be it climate change, be it deforestation. So it would be viable if we run a campaign, maybe on our individual communities to emphasize on such. Then another campaign that I got that I see it being viable is forest regeneration. I understand most people have lost forests due to the fuel, being it the charcoal burning or agriculture. We need to run a campaign that can help to bring back this forest by using the tree species that are modified, and they didn't take long. I will use an example from our side here, Uganda. There is an advocacy that we need to plant trees that do not take long, and these trees should either be of timber species or the fruit, so that we don't suffer for long future. Then another feedback that I got as part of the campaign, of course, as youth, we need to get involved, and I understand some of us, we have experience and skills in some of the projects. Let's say we can see a way, how about we utilize agro waste to make maybe fuel for cooking, let's say briquette, or we can come out on our capacity instead using plastic, why don't we and start using plastic bags? Then other things, could be like we can utilize the waste around in terms of plastic, we can recycle them and get other options. Then one other thing I may, as my last point, we need to engage the youth. I understand most of the youth, they're very talented. They can use their heart to spread the gospel about the climate change through the music, songs, and performances. So those are the 4 feedbacks that I got from my community as part of the campaign, and we can easily implement it as youth. I remain Ogwal Morris from Uganda. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And it's really great to hear the different feedbacks that have come forward. If you could, in the chat, if you could put down the point of number 3, I would appreciate that. I think I missed it just slightly because my network went choppy. But I would be happy to put it into our broader document so we can make sure that we look at it together. But otherwise, I'm really grateful for the feedback. So thanks, Mohini, and thanks, Ogwal. I see. I always mess your name up, and so maybe when you jump in, if you could please say your name again for me, Rehana, if I'm not saying it correctly already.
Hello everyone. Yes, my name is pronounced Rehana, but it's okay. I don't mind if you pronounce it that way. One of the things that I wanted to say was kind of jumping off Michelle's point, and so one of my ideas was to kind of have a COP or climate call out. And so we would host like a digital campaign called COP or climate call out, where members of the online community can like call out individual members of COP and hold them accountable for what accountable, or it can be a space where individuals are just able to tell their story or share their thoughts. And I think that it's nice to have different types of ways to do this, but I think a digital campaign is an appropriate response, especially with the upcoming COP, because of the technological area that we're living in, which allows us to like reach a wider audience, and that can obviously result in a greater impact and a greater chance for change to occur. So I don't have like a specific idea, but obviously this can take place on any social media platform, and then it can allow individuals to participate regardless of their geographical location. And I think that's important because it makes youth feel welcomed into that space. And, you know, it allows everyone to participate. And so I think another thing of why it's so important is because we need to make youth feel welcomed into that space and not make it a space where you already need to know what's going on to sort of have the conversation. And so the reason why I brought this up is because a lot of individuals or organizations encourage the participation of youth in the call to climate action. But what's at the core of that is that like climate change sort of involves very big words and it can become very overwhelming. So in a way, it's like sort of very scientific and abstract. So I think that instead youth should be made aware that the space, that this is a space where climate change isn't just about the big scientific words, but it's about things that occur in our daily lives and are all around us all the time. And I think that's something we can do through the campaign called like COP or climate call out. Thank you.
Thank you. I can already see the hashtags booming across the screen. So thank you, Rehana, for that. I love the idea of doing something that calls truth to power. And so it's really, really great to hear that idea as well, which also kind of feeds into, I think one or two of your points really spoke to what Mohini also mentioned about awareness needing to be brought forward. I think there's a massive gap in understanding when it comes to it, and it's not necessarily our fault as young people, but rather the fact that we've been intentionally kept out of the playing field for those to win and thrive in this space. I saw Natasha's hand, and then I'll go to Abigail's hand. So Natasha, go for it.
Hi, how are you? Hello.
We are doing well. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Okay. I just wanted to make a contribution, though this is my first time. This is my first session that I'm attending. Okay. So I wanted to talk about ideas that I think can help looking at the issue of climate change. Okay. When we go back to our local communities, most of them you find that um, deforestation actually is one of the biggest causes of climate change amongst the other causes of climate change. So I feel instead of just reforestating our forests, we can also look at other sources of energy that can help replace wood and charcoal, which most of our local communities depend on. We can try to utilize solar power at a commercial level as well as make it affordable for the local people, because looking at the number of people that use charcoal and wood fuel, these are people that are, maybe I would say, the people that cannot afford, maybe let's say, these other sources of power. So I feel if other sources of power can be utilized, biomass, solar power, and at an affordable price, it would make people run away from deforesting our forests, and also sensitizing our community, starting from schools and local communities, whereby people are taught the importance of trees and why they need to preserve them and why they need to replace them as they cut, because at the end of the day we can't run away from cutting down of trees. People will need it one way or the other, but we need to also educate them on the importance of planting back these trees so that we still replace what has been lost. I think that will be my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and officially welcome to Africa's Youth Voices community. I think it's really, really great. I say we're a community because I don't want to call you participants. It sounds gross. You guys are not participants. You are a community coming together, engaging with each other regularly. And so it's really, really cool. And we'll talk a bit more about that community and how we can make that community intentional between the sessions. But Natasha, thank you so much for that. It's really great to hear. And I'm seeing there's a theme of so far of two things. It's knowledge, understanding, and building kind of awareness surrounding certain topics, regional, kind of dependent, but also it's across the continent. There's a need for us to do a call out and kind of like a pointing finger, but pointing finger with want for action. And then also there's a push around the conversation about deforestation and looking at alternative methods of energy. And I think we're going to be hearing a lot about that this year at COP. But we can only tell when that arrives. But in the time being, we do need to kind of bolster our knowledge, build our knowledge up around the topics surrounding it. So thank you, Natasha, and welcome to the space. I'm going to go to Abigail, Simon, and then Miriam, and then Sarah, and then we'll go to the next section. So Abigail, Simon, Miriam, and Sarah.
Thank you so much, Gabriel. Basically, in our community in Malawi, there's lots of places where there's issues to do with floods and deforestation. But our country has developed and implemented a lot of policies. Unfortunately, as citizens of the country and the community, we're not taking enough engagement, or we're not as proactive into implementing this policy. And so we said as a community that we need to do a lot of civic education, as pointed out by other communities, but also to engage entrepreneurial education in line with climate change. To say, for example, that if we are to plant more trees, it means that youth engaged in agricultural activities also will benefit, not only because they are planting trees, but because they're going to make their community and their soils more fertile. And among other things, it will also decrease the number of crime rates, because in as much as people are displaced and whatever, it increases the crime rate because people do not have a proper source of income or a stable job, or are not engaged fully in entrepreneurial activities. But once they engage themselves in activities around their community, be it in agriculture, be it in infrastructure, using clean gas, using clean sources of energy, recycling, it will help youth and the community engage more in such activities and, move away from committing different crimes. And the same was also said for drug use and whatever, because all of this have a greater impact to lowering the performance by the youth. I'm not sure if you can hear me, but yes.
We can, don't worry. You're doing good.
Position. Thank you. Hello?
Thanks so much for that, Abigail. I appreciate it. It's also great to hear kind of the different things, you're talking about in Malawi, how there's many floods, deforestation, other many issues that intersect, come together. It's not just this and this, it's all working together. But that there's policies. I know this because one of our ambassadors from last year, Happy Mbewe, is standing in the group right now with his camera on. But Happy would explain to us the way that Malawi has these different injustices that intersect with each other. And so it's really cool to kind of hear more effort around the fact that this is something that's real. It's not just something that Happy is saying, but it's what Malawi is saying. And I think that's such an important thing, is that there's a need for us to call the citizens to action these policies, so that we make sure that that the intersections of injustice are handled, and we don't just leave it at kind of just the top line of like care about the climate, but more it's broader than that. So thanks so much for that, Abigail, and I'm gonna tag Miriam in, and then go to Sarah and see if there's any last thoughts after that before we move into our breakout room session, where we will be doing the editing of the AU letter. So Miriam, go for it.
Thank you so much, Gabriel. Hello, everyone. I'm Miriam from DRC. It's a great pleasure sharing with you. This is my first time participating in this session, and I'm very interested in it. In my community, there is a big challenge related to climate change. And what I've seen, it is more based on poor waste management, whereby where there is poor waste management, it can not only affect the surrounding population, but it also affects the ecosystem, which can lead to climate change. So according to what I've seen, and according to the challenge, I thought there is first a negligence, whereby the community don't care about what is happening, and there is also lack of awareness. And among the solutions which I've been thinking of, there is campaign. Campaign should be the first thing which maybe we should focus on to bring up awareness in the community. And I was also thinking of maybe replacing the use of, because this poor waste management is based on the use of plastic bags, whereby now plastic bags is found everywhere in the community, and it is affecting the environment. So there is also maybe replacing the use of plastic bags to maybe paper bags or to woven bags. So that is what I've been thinking about as a solution throughout throughout the climate change challenge. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Miriam, and welcome to the session. It's great to have you here. I also think it's amazing to hear the kind of the kind of idea of kind of building the kind of people awareness. I think that there, regardless of what we do, that there is something that I'm hearing is a thread. It's people needing to be aware of what's going on so that they can take action for it. I think a big problem sometimes is not even understanding what's going on, let alone being educated on the topic, and then being able to bring forward action. And so it's pretty amazing to kind of see that thread going through it all. And yeah, I think it's really cool to hear that. I definitely agree about that point about looking at alternatives. And so I'm right now hearing, and I have received Ogwal's point in the chat, which is great. So I popped it into the broader minutes for myself to kind of have a look at again. Is just looking at the fact that right now we've got community awareness in education, the need to sensitize through school, churches, gatherings, environments, other places, looking at awareness campaigns, digital campaigns that can, call individuals out, but also raise stories, which is something similar to what ACA plans to do in October with our hashtag Messages to COP campaign, where it will be more kind of like strategically kind of messages to COP, whereas I think the call out, COP call out or climate call out is something that will be brilliant as a complementary thing to these many campaigns that we can put forward. That I think would be quite revolutionary to see, coming at them from all angles. They can't stop us then. And so I think it's great. Before I tag Miriam in, I'm just going to read in the chat quickly. Not Miriam, Sarah in. Climate action is the way to go for us. Solutions are there in the communities, but we lack action or lack people to push to act on these environmental issues we are facing now. Yeah, I think it's a people power situation. The more people you have within the movement, the better. And I think we need to find ways in which we can build that awareness rather than telling them care about the environment, but rather showing them how it's a social and an economic issue as well. That if they care about the environment, technically they're also caring about their well-being, their health, their jobs and future. So yeah, thanks for that, Sarah. And then we'll go into the breakout rooms.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Sarah Miti from Zambia. I'm actually a student of I'm pursuing a master's in education and development, and my research focuses on what public universities can do to foster climate smart innovations for the benefit of rural development. So from having worked in a rural environment for over 5 years now, one thing I noticed is if there are people that are badly hit by the effects of climate change, it's the people in rural communities. So in my country, Zambia, just last year, the southern part of Zambia was badly hit by the poor rainfall, leading to food insecurity. So it is against this background that my research focuses on what public universities can do to promote, to help promote climate smart innovations. So by climate smart agriculture innovations, I'm looking at how we can help preserve certain genetic seeds that are drought resistant to promote food security in these rural areas. And public universities are so close to government in such a way that it's very easy for public universities to even influence government policies for the betterment of rural communities in my country. So basically, I'm focusing on how certain seeds can be preserved and even modified for food security. Further, I look forward to proposing a few policies that I'm hoping the government would take on, so that we can help, because and then these people in rural areas, they are also among the worst hit in the effects. At the same time, they are the perpetrators of some of these issues of deforestation, charcoal burning that are prevailing environmental issues in my country. So it's very important that these people should be taught. Deliberate policies should be made by government through universities on how well they can use their resources to benefit their agriculture, preserve their food, and also have enough for the coming generations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I think it's great to hear from you. The work that you're doing, it's amazing. So thank you so much for that. I think what you have to say there, I think I've got a bit of thoughts on those points. I think, you know, there are things put in place to protect people. The same communities who are the most hit oftentimes are perceived or seen as the ones putting forward the most damage. When in fact, oftentimes the situation is that blaming who's speaking? Sorry, just want to make sure I'm
not
here we go. Sorry. The point I was making is just that there's a both and. It's the community needing to take action and to stop polluting, but it's also our need to call government to action and business to action, who are perpetrating the big fossil fuel emissions, because pollution is one aspect, you know, like throwing litter on the floor, but another aspect is making sure that we don't allow big industries from overseas to continue damaging and causing havoc on our communities and causing us to blame each other in vicious ways. And so it's more of like a, instead of calling, when we build this awareness, it's not saying you are, but more, you know, this is something that's contributing to it and you can be part of the solution, you know? So them not polluting is part of the solution. And so, yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that and thank you for that contribution. I see Michelle saying she's really inspired by the contributions. Michelle, would you like to kind of have any sayings right now as I assign people to their groups? Before we put you in your groups, we will let you know what we're doing so that you aren't surprised randomly. But yeah, Michelle, any thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Wow. It's just really, really inspiring to read all of the ideas that are coming through, you know, just maybe getting a bit of an inside peek into how our minds are working. I think this is absolutely incredible. And yeah, I'm like really, really excited. And you know, the hope is that as ACA would be able to offer as much support as we can in whatever way that we can for these projects, be it, you know, for the digital campaigns, sitting with you and maybe writing, I don't know, a script or whatever, but it's really, really inspiring stuff. And if I keep talking, I'll end up saying things I shouldn't, but this really is, this really, really is incredible stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle. And I don't think you're saying things you shouldn't. I think it's just also, I'm like thinking, you know, there's so much on the agenda, but I think it will be brilliant for us as a group to work together and build and see where we can support each other. So I'm going to put us all into breakout rooms. Michelle and I will stay here. I'm going to pop into your breakout room and I'm going to drop a link. The link will have a draft to the draft AU letter. Some of you may have seen it, some of you may not have seen it, but the link will be a draft that we are going to all edit. So when you're editing now, it will be brilliant if you could, you know, just put down your thoughts there. It will be comment only, just so that we can make sure we track your edits, so we can make sure we incorporate it in the final product. And so we'll have about 30 minutes in the breakout room to kind of really have a conversation about it, read through it. So maybe someone wants to kind of read through it, or maybe you all want to read through it. And then, you know, go through it and be like, cool, where in this draft, because this draft incorporates a lot of what you've been saying over the last while, and some of it hasn't incorporated it. And so be like, hey, actually they didn't put in that part about, yeah, because we left it out intentionally, because we want you to engage in the space. Or if we did leave it out and it wasn't intentional, it also is something that we are keen to kind of have implemented and put in. So I'm going to stop talking because I love hearing my own voice. And I'm going to put you in the groups, and then I will pop into those groups to drop the links for the different groups, and then afterward we'll have a bit of a look at it and figure out, instead of at the end of the session trying to pull together the AU letter, Mitchelle and I are going to take this away. We're going to edit all the contributions from the different letters, and we're going to put it into one letter, and then when we come back from the breakout room now, instead of doing that, we're going to try and figure out what 2 or 3 campaigns could we look at doing. I'm hearing some things about community awareness, COP callouts, something around, something on the ground maybe as well. So yeah, I'm going to open all the rooms. Feel free to join them, and we'll make sure that we touch base with you soon. Don't be nervous and shy now in those breakout rooms, guys. You're comfortable at this point. And if you're not comfortable at this point, it's also okay. Speak out and be proud. Just looking at current ideas right now, I'm seeing a lot of the need for community awareness, community engagement. But more importantly, I'm seeing that out of that community awareness and community engagement, there's a want to call people to action, a call for unity and collaboration, right, Mitchelle? Like, kind of join us. So like,
yeah,
what would that campaign look like? I know Regina and a few other people we're talking about the digital campaign. So maybe there's a digital aspect to this. And I'm going to embarrass Mitchelle quickly and just share a video quickly on the screen.
Oh, no, don't do it.
Yes,
don't do it.
I'm going to do it. So legally speaking, that this video is one of the examples of a digital campaign for the upcoming mobilization that we're doing in South Africa. And I just want to share it with you. Just not the whole thing, don't worry. But just enough for you to kind of see an example of a video digital campaign. So here we go.
System change, for a planet which sustains us, for justice for the people who had suffered for too long at the hands of the system, and for future generations threatened by environmental and climate crises, as well as social and economic hardship.
For too long, the rights and well-being of people and the planet have been sidelined for the purpose of creating wealth for a few. This has created a system that treats people and our planet as worthless. This has led to many interlinking crises, from income inequality to water and food insecurity to the climate crisis.
So that there is just a small example. She hates it, but it's a small example of a digital campaign. It's video. Another form of a digital campaign is, putting out a poster and calling people to add a contribution to the space. And so it's like, for example, you can ask people to use a hashtag when they post the message, and that could be an action of a campaign. So it's like hashtag COP or hashtag climate call out, or something along those lines. So we're going to have time to do this, and not today, but what we are going to have time to do is in whether you want it to be a WhatsApp group or whether you want it to be a Facebook group. That's something that we're going to be setting up, a temporary one just for this action of the Africa's Youth Voices, so that you can participate and engage in that WhatsApp group with each other. But for right now, I'm seeing a trend, and I'll pass to Mitchelle, but a trend for a campaign surrounding calling our political leaders to order, calling people, young people and community members from different areas to join us in the mobilization and the movement that is the climate justice movement. And another one is calling for people to take action and to think of and use alternative forms of energy and solutions. So while Mitchelle kind of also just puts her ideas out into the space here, I will share a link to this WhatsApp group in the chat. And also we'll make sure you get it via email afterward. I know you're thinking, oh, another WhatsApp group, But don't worry, this one will be for Africa's Youth Voices, so that it's easy for you to communicate with one another and then go from there. We would add it to the African Climate Alliance network, but that's on Facebook. And I know quite a few of you already joined there. So what we'll do is I'll send you the link in the chat now for this new group, Africa's Youth Voices, and hopefully we can start brainstorming and putting it into action by the end of this month, so that October, in that build up to COP, October, there we've sent out the African Union letter. Bam, here comes other digital campaigns, here comes on the ground campaigns to get people beside us and standing with us. So yeah, I'm gonna keep quiet now because my voice is everywhere. Michelle, the floor is yours.
I was quite enjoying that. But I did just want to share. So Gabriel had shared just one sort of example of a digital campaign, and this is another example of a digital campaign in the form of like educational resources. So what is this? Is one about COP26. So we did this campaign last year, and it was a digital campaign. So this is just to show that there are many different ways you can sort of bring your ideas together, and then come up with something, right? So I really don't want to repeat what Gabriel has said, but I am also noting a lot of sort of synergy in the themes that we are coming with. I heard a very strong sort of theme come out around climate literacy in our communities. I've also heard like similar people. So what I'm thinking is perhaps then we connect with the people with similar ideas to ours, so that we can then work on those together. I don't know how that sounds. I think it sounds good. And I need to stop doing that. But yeah, we're just waiting for Gabriel to share those links with us. But that's, yeah. So again, I think I mentioned quite early on that we were very, like I was very excited to offer support from ACA side. But yeah, so after we've identified our campaign opportunities, maybe we link with other people and we create concept notes or even a timeline. So you've got a campaign that you have, how long do you think it's going to run? What sort of heavy lifting would you need to do? And I will just kind of put us out there and say we would be able to provide some support in whatever ways we can. So again, I think it would be sort of like tailored to that project or what your needs are, and then we can see how we can offer support for that. But other than that, I'm really excited to see some digital campaigns and other such things from all these really incredible ideas that you had. I'm thinking, yeah, Gabriel?
Here we go. Awesome. So I'm putting the link in the chat to join the WhatsApp group. And we will then also make sure that we send it by email so you can join that WhatsApp group, Africa's Youth Voices 2022. I know there's not an apostrophe there, and so I'm really sorry, but otherwise nothing fits into the name, and we wanted to add the 2022 at the end. But yeah, I think we've heard some brilliant ideas right now, and so I would also like to offer my support in kind of helping develop those things. So even if it's we want to build an awareness on what climate change is and why people should stop doing this. Michelle and I would be happy to kind of take that information that you've written out and turn it into one of these things and work with you maybe in a session, so we can make sure everyone's kind of voice is heard, and then we can use that to distribute via WhatsApp. If it's infographics or if it's short videos, we can help you write a script for those short videos, then you record them and you post them online, and coming up with some form of hashtag that follows it. But I will also make sure that I share the summary. Yeah, that's the word, the summary of the ideas that have come out for today in the minutes, but also in the WhatsApp group, so we can start thinking of these things, yeah, I think it's really important. So with that being said, I'm going to say something very controversial. We are almost at the end of our third session, which means we are going to have to say goodbye. single tear falls down the eye.
Excuse me.
Crying, crying, crying. No, but seriously, we are at the end of our session today. But I don't want us to just walk away feeling as though, oh, now it's over. What do we do? What do we do? I mean, when have we ever done that? Where we've just said goodbye. But what we will do is share our screen quickly. Michelle, if you're able to, and just so we can kind of pop up our takeaway task, which is in relation to where everyone's joining this WhatsApp group now, which is great. I already see, oh my gosh, there are 27 participants already. People, wow, you really want to engage. This is great. And so, in essence, to continue to edit the concept note you have developed for your campaign idea. So the concept note, which is the summary, I'll make sure I pop it in the group. That will be our takeaway task, and adapt it to suit your context, community, and audience. For example, some communities will be like, well, my community hasn't really talked to deforestation, but I do want to participate in the climate call out campaign, hashtag climate call out. And so what you do is you say, cool, hashtag climate call out, and we talk about mining. Hashtag climate call out, we talk about plastics. Hashtag climate call out, we talk about, pollution in the water from plastics. We talk about certain things. And I know, I'm just mentioning hashtag climate call out, but it could be hashtag COP call out if we wanted to as well. But I'm just mentioning the either or. And I'm keen to see where things go. And so, yeah, I think for right now, that's kind of our hope and our takeaway task that we will also share with you. And then, Michelle, if you can jump to the next slide, I can just show everyone once again. These are some of the forms. So the previous sessions, they are still accessible. So you'll find the minutes, and the minutes will have access to all of the details from today, as well as the recording of today's session. Data reimbursement form, if you haven't filled it out already, we'll make sure that you get it in the chat now. Please also remember, we have mentioned now that unfortunately our site that we've been using was down for a little bit, but it should be up and running again soon, either by later tonight or tomorrow. Sometimes it does this thing where it goes down for like 2 days and then it's up again. But yeah, I'm going to pop that in the chat there to fill out that form. And then another thing that will pop up is, the Spotify link. The data link is in the chat above your message, gift, which is perfect. I'm also going to pop in the chat now the link to Africa's Youth Voices playlist, which is on Spotify as of right now, but we are moving it to, copying it over to YouTube as well, and then also copying it to Apple Music as well. But in the chat, you should find the Spotify playlist for those who are keen to listen. And then actions and campaigns bulletin board, the Africa's Youth Voices bulletin board, keep adding to that as well. All the links will follow. You can stop your screen right now, Michelle, and we can say our goodbyes. The data link is not working. I know why it's not working, and I'm going to fix it in 5, 4, 4, 4, 4.5, 4 3/4. There we go. You should be able to access it now and add it in to the add your submission in and your request for data reimbursement. It should be open now. But yeah, that's it from me for right now. Thank you so much for being here, for being present in today's session. It's been an absolute pleasure engaging with you and engaging going forward. It's going to be amazing, and just know it. I'm going to pop it in the chat again, the data reimbursement form for anyone keen. And yeah, Michelle, any closing words?
Just really a very big thank you to everyone who spent the last 2 hours with us. Thank you so much. And enjoyed my dancing. I'm sorry to put you through that, but I'm very, very excited to see the campaigns that come out and all of the projects that are going to develop from here. But I'm mostly excited about the letter to the AU. So I trust that it's going to look awesome. Yeah, but thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you at the next session. Yeah,